Hello, lovely people. My name is Julie Gavin, and I am the writer at thenewlighterlife.com. That's my personal blog that I started back in, I think it was 2012, when we have 4 children, and right now they range from 6 to down to 11. But at the time, they were really little, they were young, and our family decided to go on an adventure and to basically sell our home, sell everything, and simplify our life. Sorry, I have a bean here getting me. Simplify our life. And I was gonna blog about it. So I enjoyed that. We did that for a year and a half, but it did become really stressful. It was hard. We would go to some campgrounds and kids couldn't be out running around. We didn't travel as much as we had wanted to. We were mostly permanent. So we went from South Dakota to Florida to Texas, and we hung up our RVing hat and said, no, it was not restful. But that was really what I had started the blog for, was to share some of our RVing adventures, some of the things with a big family, living in an RV full time. And when we hung up our RV hat, I kind of was like, well, what am I going to write about? I really struggled for a while to figure out my blogging identity. I even think I wrote a post about my blogging identity crisis. So I never really figured it out, and I just kind of slowly faded away from my blog. And a few years later, just through some prayer and talking to my husband, just decided that I was ready to go back to work, and we swapped roles. So I had always homeschooled, but he took over homeschooling and started day trading, and he's an awesome man. He's so much patience, really good with schedule and just staying on track. I'd get distracted, and so there was just, he had strengths and I had strengths. So it was nice to see our kids get kind of both of that, I guess, weakness and strength in a parent, a different one. But what we ended up, excuse the noise, I'm hoping to start reducing some of that. What we ended up doing was, I'm gonna wait a second. Well, that's a helicopter. So what we ended up doing was I ended up going back to work, and I won't talk about my work on here. It's not my passion. I don't love it. I feel like I'm competent and I can do it, but my passion's not what I do for a living, which is contracting for the government. So anyway, you probably will never hear me talk about it again. So I went back to work about 4 years ago, and we moved from Texas to South Dakota again a couple years ago, and I love it up here. It is just beautiful. It's gorgeous. You know, we live in the Black Hills area, and gardening up here, we lived here before. Gardening up here is a breeze. There's challenges, but not like there was in South Texas. So anyway, about a year ago, I decided to start going back to my blog again because, excuse me, I just missed that creative outlet. I missed being able to, share stuff. I do enjoy that. One of the things that was challenging was I always had to have it be perfect. My nemesis is perfection. I'm trying to always be perfect. So I will tell you today, I've tried to be pretty consistent at least the past 8 or so months of posting, but it takes me forever some days to get a post up because I just get so detailed. So the blog, while I love it, it is a challenge for me to get good content out. And so over the years we've toyed around with the idea of me doing a vlog, having a YouTube channel, sharing what I'm doing, sharing content that way. And I've always had excuses. Mainly, the biggest one is I will never be able to put something out that's good enough that people would want to watch, because I'm my worst critic. Most of us are our worst critics. So today I am going to do the most limited amount of editing. I just want to throw this out there because if I try to over edit and make everything perfect, you'll never have any videos from me. And I do feel like, we've talked about it and prayed about it, and I feel like the Lord really has said just to go for it. So to put something out, we felt His leading in this and confirmation multiple ways. So We have a huge vision for our family, for business with our friends that I'm not going to get into now. For right now, I just mostly want to introduce this YouTube channel, introduce what it's about. The intention of the new lighter life was that we would be lessening our load as we moved into an RV and simplifying our life. And while we did in some ways, other ways we didn't. Other ways it was more complicated, it was stressful, and it was just hard to maintain. So I'm not sure if I'll change the name. Right now this is still the new lighter life, but I just prayerfully considering what I could change this to and what that would be. But my intention is to just share what's going on right now in the garden, what I've got planned for next year, things that come up. I've tried some really cool new seeds and started a ton of alpine strawberries from seed, which have been really successful. So mostly I just want to share with you what I'm learning and hopefully inspire you and give you ideas. Maybe you guys can give me ideas. I'm sure you can. I would not say that I'm a professional, that I'm a novice in the garden, but I absolutely love it. And going to canning and love doing all of those types of things. So my hope is to share some of that content and that it won't take me hours and an extensive amount of time to share something. And so that is why anything I post will not be perfect. There will be mess ups that I say, and editing is not going to be overdone. So that's my disclaimer to you. And so today it's the weekend, so I am able to get in the garden longer than just a few hours at night. And so I have a bunch of beans to harvest, and so I'm hoping to get those. I will just show you, I'll flip the screen around here in a minute, but in one of my blog posts I shared about cattle panel trellises, and I have put 2 archways in the garden, and I put 2 lateral trellises for my garden. My tomatoes. And so I'm going to just show you those. And my focus today is to pick these beans because they are getting away from me. My pole beans took longer than I thought, and I actually thought they were going to fail. I haven't grown this variety before, and so I have to look up what they were. I can't remember. But I grew yard-long beans and pole beans, some variety, I can't remember. But they took forever. So I thought, I better plant some more beans because my bush beans were already almost spent. So we are up to our ears in beans, but I love canned beans. They're so much better than store-bought ones. So I am working on those today, and so I'll just show you, and I'll link to where the post is about the cattle panel trellises, and I'll also tell you that I'm a huge fan of Roots and Refuge Farm. I love their YouTube channel. They're such a sweet family. I've never met them. I've never even interacted at all with them, but Jessica's the one who showed me about, through her videos, I saw the trellises. And so I will link to that as well, so you can see the original. And they're just a wealth of information. Just seem like a really awesome family. So I'm going to turn this around and show you my beans. And then in the future, I'm planning on just giving you a garden tour because, quite honestly, I am so sick of zucchini. I planted way too many. I already ripped 1 out, and I have 4 left, and I'm done. I don't want to make zucchini bread. I don't want to do any more desserts with zucchini. We've had a little bit of that, but so I want to take some of that out, take some of my spent beans out so I can make room for my fall garden coming up. So that is it. Let me turn this around real quick, and then you'll see my stool. I have my little garden stool, and I made a garden hob basket, which I'll link to that too on how to do that. But I'm gonna just try to scour these beans and get them all because they hide. And I have a ton of beans on here that are gonna be seed because I keep missing them, but here we go. Here are my beans, and you can see I put some cucumbers on the end of these trellises. So they're mixed in there, and honestly, I'm just too tight packed in there. It's really easy to miss them. But here's my yard longs, which taste amazing just off the vine. they're hard to pick. Like, you have to kind of break them off to actually get them to come off, but man, they just taste so good. And my cucumbers that don't look so great, but like I said, it's so tight packed in here. I just shouldn't have planted them so close, but these are the trellises and they're just beautiful. So they just add such a feature. There's my tomato trellises. Again, I'll show you the link to Jessica's post about that, but we got a lot of beans to pick. So I'm going to be doing that today. And I have my stool. I love this thing. I just sit on it and just pick away. Got my coffee, and I've got my garden hob. So anyway, I'll link to those, and if you guys have any content you want to see, please feel free to just comment, and thank you for coming along with me. Have a great one. Well guys, I wanted to just jump on here real quick before I totally end this video and tell you I kind of lied to you, I guess, because last night, well, yesterday afternoon, I came out and I did pick a bunch of beans, and so what I'm seeing today is my harvest isn't going to be really that great because a lot of these are still ripening. So I'm thinking tomorrow's going to be my big bumper harvest day. So I got a lot that are just getting there, not quite, but I wanted to show you the problem with planting so close is there's so many beans that I just missed that I'm gonna have a lot of great seed for next year. But what I did also, I mean, these things are just honking because I missed them and they're not gonna taste good, so I'm gonna let them go to seed and get really ripe and good. But one thing that's a benefit, I think, is, you know, like a plant like this, it's obviously very prolific and it is not struggling at all here. But these seeds are even going to be more acclimated to the soil up here, the conditions, and they're just going to be even better next year. So also up here, since I'm into telling on myself about what I did wrong, let me move over a little bit. You know, there's just so many up here I just can't hardly get to that have gone over the top of the trellis. So I'm gonna have to think through that and kind of think about, you know, what can I do next year so I can actually harvest more. I think if they weren't as crowded, the beans would have come down underneath the trellis. I'm on the outside of the trellis right next to my tomatoes right now. So I kind of have this little walkway I make, trying not to crush my onion. Be better for harvesting under the trellis because most of these are, they're not even coming down in. So they're all kind of staying on top. So anyway, that's it for today. I'll show you my after from my harvest today, but it's going to be pretty small. A lot of these will be good tomorrow,